Welcome back to math. Today we're going to talk about understanding fractions, part 2. We're going to do a little chanting with this one. And I'd like you to keep saying the chant as we go. Alright, so let's say I have, well, I didn't want that to happen. Let's say I have this. Okay? What would our chant be at this point? What would we say? How many pieces is it been cut up into? Or how many pieces are in the whole? How many? Two. Two. So 2 goes on the bottom. Now that's called the denominator. That means that's the original amount of pieces that that thing was cut up into. I could say, well, this is paper, and we cut the paper into 2 pieces. It's one paper, but we cut the one paper into 2 pieces. I also wrote down here, it's the original amount. It's the amount you start with. If we were talking about pizzas, it's the amount of pieces that we open the pizza box up and how many pieces are in there. Well, in this case, let's pretend it's a square pizza. Well, we have 2 pieces of pizza in our box. Or if you would like to think of it as an M&M bag. How many pieces are in the M&M bag total? So the denominator is the number that is the original amount. Okay? Alright, now let's say I now shade in this one. Now we're going to ask what question? How many pieces are shaded? 1. 1 goes on the top. Okay, so that means we have half of whatever it is. Okay? Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's try a new one, shall we? This time, let's do... Now, I'd like you to hear the chant a little bit better this time. Ready? Let's go. How many pieces is cut up into? Number? 3. So 3 goes on the bottom. Okay, now if I have, I'll be tricky. I'll shade in 2 different spots. Okay, what's our next thing that we say? How many pieces are shaded? 2. The 2 goes on the top. Because that's telling us what we have left. That's the number, the numerator is what we have left. Okay? And we have 2 left of the 3. Ready to do another one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. All right. What's their chant? How many pieces is this cut up into? 4. So the 4 goes on the bottom. That tells us how many pieces it was originally cut up into. Now I'm going to shade something in. Okay? Go ahead and tell me what we say now.
How
many pieces are shaded? 1. 1 goes on the top because it tells us we have 1/4. One of the 4 pieces we still have. Are you following?
Yes.
Excellent. This is, if you're saying to yourself, boy, this doesn't seem very hard, Mr. McGuire, I'm glad you're saying that because it really isn't any harder than this. It's very easy. So every time you do a problem like this, I want you to do the chanting too, okay? All right. Let's chant what we need to say now. Ready? How many pieces is this cut up into? 5. 5 is the number that goes on the bottom. Right. That tells us what? How many pieces it was originally cut up into. Now I'm going to shade some in, okay? Go ahead. How many pieces are shaded? 3. 3 is the number that goes on top. Right. So how much do we have? We have 3/5. Right?
Yes.
Excellent. I want you to keep chanting those chants as you do the homework, okay? I know your parents may think you're crazy, but just keep chanting it and you'll remember it. And that's going to be the important part, is you'll remember it and understand fractions when your friends may not. Okay? Let's chant this one, and then I'm going to take it a step further. Okay? What do we need to say?
How many pieces is this
Cut up into 10. 10 goes on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'll color in. Okay, I shaded it in. Many pieces are shaded? 3. So 3 goes on the top. What do we have? 3/10. Have we heard of the word tenths before?
Yes.
When have we heard the word tenths before? When we were talking about decimals. Now, let me move this up, okay? Can someone tell me, what is this place? What place is this? This is the ones place. Is the ones place means one whole thing, right?
Yes.
Now what is the place, and I'm going to change my color here. What is the first place on the right?
10.
It's called the tenths. Now what does tenths mean? Well, it means 10 is the bottom number. So what would I put here for my shaded areas in the box? What would I put here for the shaded area in the box? 3.
3.
You guys are right. So 3/10. And we can also say this how? 0.3. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to change that. All right? And let's see if we can come up with another one. I'll just shade it in, okay? What number should I be putting down now?
4.
Well, do you want to count them? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, what should be our number?
5.
So we have 5/10, right? And where else can we put that 5? To the first place on the right side of the decimal. Like that. So that means 5/10, right? Now the thing you need to remember is that this first space right here, I'm going to erase the stuff I just wrote. This first space is always how many pieces?
10.
It's always 10 pieces. Always. Always 10 pieces. Everybody. The first place on the right side of the decimal is always 10 pieces. Always. Okay? So let me go ahead and I will shade in some more spots, okay? You guys are counting them, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how would I write this out as a decimal? How would I write this out as a decimal? How would I write it out as a decimal? Does that scare you too much, the decimal idea?
Yeah.
So do you want to put it in a fraction first?
Yes.
We can.
Yes.
Because who's in charge here? If we are, right? We're in charge of doing our math problem. So if you see something like that and it wants a decimal, you can do a fraction first. It's not a problem. Feel free to do that. So what is our fraction going to be?
8 tenths.
8 tenths. So now what are we going to do to make it into a decimal? We put the 8 right here. Why can we put it there? Because the first, everybody, the first place to the right of the decimal is always 10 pieces. It's always cut up into 10 pieces. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, for homework tonight, I want you to go ahead and draw out these fraction ones, okay? And then I want you to do 5 decimal ones on top of that, okay? So I want you to do 5 decimal ones too, okay? Just like we did just now. You want to do one more?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more, and then you guys will know how to do it too. This isn't tricky, is it?
No.
No, it just takes a little bit of thinking, huh? Okay, so I'm going to... There we are. All right, what do we usually say? What's our chant when it comes to figuring out our fractions?
How many pieces?
How many pieces is it cut up into? We figured that out. It's a 10 pieces, so that means we could turn it into a decimal, right? Okay. Now what's our next question?
How many pieces are shaded in?
How many pieces are shaded in? 9. So I can put a 9 on top above the 10, so I have 9 tenths, right? And how do I turn that into a decimal? It's 0.9. Because the first, everybody, the first place on the right side of the decimal is always cut up into 10 pieces. So whenever you have it cut up into 10 pieces, you can turn it into a decimal. Okay? All right. Well, I hope that was a helpful lesson. If you need to watch it again, please do so. I love math.